everybody. This is Dr. Lori Shemek.
And I'm Omar Cumberbatch. You're listening to This Podcast Burns Fat. Hey, Lori, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Omar. Great to be here with you.
Yes,
Thanks.
likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're into fall and we have another
Uh-huh.
great guest that we're starting off that season. And I'm really looking forward to sharing Lacy Lain with the audience today.
Yes, I love her name, Lacy Lain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she is a functional medicine and nutrition health coach and a functional blood work specialist. And so, which means that she looks at what is causing the health condition or issue versus putting a Band-Aid on it. And so she joins us today to really give us some great tips and information as to how we can do that, transform our health, which is fantastic. So I thought she was fantastic.
Yes, I did as well. And I know that a lot of people are looking forward to just even addressing the issue of exhaustion and just how that
Mm-hmm.
is just such a problem for so many people. I mean, when you don't have the energy to, go to the gym, work out, do anything that you even make meals, right? Like if you're in that condition where you're just completely out of it, it's just not something that's going to be able to benefit anybody, and it really gets in the way of being as healthy as we can be. And she's someone who's a specialist, like you said, with functional medicine to really get to the root cause of these issues and get us on a better path.
Yes, Lacy Lain.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Hey, Lacey, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Hi,
Fantastic.
Lacy. Nice to have
Hello.
you here.
Thank you. It's good to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to learn a bit about yourself and the Lane Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because I did a lot of research about what you do, and I think the audience is going to love you. So I want to give you an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got down this particular path. And, then we'll jump into some questions right after.
Okay, so my story is so long. I always try and shorten it because it's so long. So I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to try really hard to do like the Cliff Notes
It's hard
version.
to do that. Yeah.
It is, especially if you've lived it, right? Like all the
Mm-hmm.
details you want to share. But basically, I have never had a regular cycle, and that I just like thought that was normal for my body. And then fast forward to after we had our first daughter, my husband was diagnosed with leukemia the first time, and
Mm.
we made it through that. Like I feel like both of us had pretty positive attitudes during that process, just of like, we caught it, we're gonna do what needs to be done. He went through all of his chemo treatments and everything was fine. He went into remission pretty quickly. And then almost at the 3-year mark, and at this point we had added our oldest was 4 months old the first time he was diagnosed.
Oh
And it's
no.
actually really fun, not fun, cute, because fun, that's a terrible word to use for that time of our lives. It was not, but it was cute because she was so tiny, and she was actually early. She was like a 4-pound baby when she was born, or 413. So at 4 months she wasn't really huge at that point yet, like not a normal 4-month-old. And so they let us bring her bassinet in and put it next to his hospital bed. So it was like you walk in and it's like his hospital bed, her bassinet, and then my like couch bed for the time being that we were there.
Oh.
But fast forward 3 years, and we now have 3 kids. We're in the process of adopting our middle daughter, and they were all three. They were like 3 and under. And he relapsed. He had a relapse, and they ended up having to do a stem cell transplant. And in between the time of his first round of chemo with that and going back to the hospital, because I don't know, like just for people listening, if you don't already know, when you go in for a stem cell transplant, there's actually a time period between doing chemo and getting the stem cell transplant that you actually have to go through, and they have to do all of these different testing and evaluations to make sure that your body can withstand. Like they even do a psychological evaluation to make
Wow.
sure that you can like withstand the mental load that happens during that process on your body. And so during that time period, I started my cycle and it did not stop. And because I had had irregular ones before, I was like, I better go to the doctor and just check this out, make sure like this is not going to be a thing. Well, they were like, well, actually, you need surgery, but since you're about to go into the hospital, we're just going to give you medication in the time being. And back then, like, I did not even know what I was doing. I just listened to the doctors. I took the
Mm-hmm.
medication. It was just hormones, is what it was. It didn't actually work. And I gained 40 pounds while we were in the hospital.
Oh no.
And we were there for about 100 days, 90 to 100 days. And then we got home when the whole world shut down for COVID. So we went from being quarantined in the hospital to coming home. I
Being
remember telling my
quarantined.
stepmom, yes, I remember telling my stepmom, like, I'm actually going to get to go see people. And literally that week, the world shut down and I didn't get to see anybody. But all that to say, then, COVID hit, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore. Are we allowed to say that word? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah.
Bleep it out.
We've had a couple people on talking strictly about that, in fact.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, and I was on my period for 6 months. I went to a doctor. I went to several doctors during that time to try and figure out what was going on, like how to actually stop it, because the medication they had given me didn't. And the last OBGYN I went to actually told me nothing was wrong with my body. And I was like, wait a second, what? And it really messed with my head. And I got really down about it. But I came home after that appointment and I just got down on my knees in my living room and just started praying and asking God to, like, in James, he tells us to ask for wisdom and he will give it. And we have to ask in faith without any doubting. And in that moment, I think I was just at a real place of surrender where I was like, okay, I know that there is an answer to this. I believe there is. Because, like, I was kind of into holistic health at that point. I feel like anybody that's gone through cancer kind of knows, like, there's a holistic route that's
Mm-hmm.
a possibility, right? So we had known that. And so I was like, okay, I just want to know what's going on with my body. I don't want medication. All the doctors had offered me at that point was metformin because I gained all the weight, and birth control to stop the period
Did
issues.
you have diabetes type 2 as well?
Well, I was like one test away from having it. I was like
Okay.
on the cusp of it. And my doctor was like, I really want to give you medication, but I know you won't take it because you're not a medication girl. You've already told me that. But if you come back in next month and your numbers look any worse, I have to tell you to take it. And I was like, I will not be coming in next month. I'm figuring this out. And so anyway, so I got down on my knees and praying, asking the Lord just for wisdom on what to do, also in the same breath saying, like, if this is, my burden to carry, then okay, I can do that. But I at least want to try to figure out naturally what is going on with my body and heal it. And I just felt like in that moment, the Lord was telling me I need to go back to school and really learn what to do. And at that time, and it's still this way, and I feel like listeners can probably relate to this, but at that time I was so overwhelmed with social media and all the stuff that was shared on there, all the conflicting opinions and posts, and I was just like lost at what to do. I really didn't know, and I didn't know what to believe. And so my biggest thing I wanted to find was a trustworthy source. I learned how to do research, and I wanted to find a trustworthy source that could actually help me get to the root of what was going on in my body. And so anyway, that led me to going to school. And I was saying earlier, I'm like a serial certification person. Like, I just keep getting more and more certifications because I want to know more and more and learn more and
Yeah.
more. And like, this is like, I really believe, like, I always tell people I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up other than a mom. And I found out in my 30s, because this is really what I'm called to. I know that. And I just want to learn more and more and more and be able to, not only for our family, but for other women and their children as well, help them learn how to get to the root of their issues and then get their bodies back into optimal balanced health so that they can truly live in like lifelong wellness and health. So anyway, that was a really long story to get there, but that's kind of where that's
No, it's,
started and where I'm at now. So
I mean, that was a great story in that it's shows that, you can come out on the other side
yeah.
of it all, and that you can educate yourself during the process and feel better and more confident
Mhm.
about everything. And so I congratulate you on how you handle the situation, because a lot of people, it's so easy to do. And my own mother did this too. You just throw your hands up
Mhm.
and you just say, this is my lot in life,
Yeah.
and you don't do anything,
Yeah.
but you did. So I think it's wonderful that you did
I
that.
think I think I was at that place though. Like, if this is my lot in life, like, I was just
Mm-hmm.
asking the Lord, like, if this is it, okay, I will carry this burden. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I want to know what to do. I want to figure this out. And so that led to lots and lots and lots of research.
Yeah, but
So what?
that's action, like like you're alluding to, Lori. Yeah, it is something that you dove into and took action on it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so key. That is so
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, to feel a sense of empowerment in the situations
Mhm.
like that, you know.
Yes.
Um, so when you, what would you, I guess let's just dive into what people can do, you know, are there, how do you guide women, let's just say, who
Mhm.
come to you, and men as well, that are struggling with, let's just, you know, missed periods or
Mhm.
digestive issues or things like that.
Mhm.
How do you handle that? Do you send them to a doctor? Do you treat them yourself?
It depends on the person. Some people have PCPs, some people don't. I like it when they do. I like it when they do because I also believe in a collaborative team. Like even within my business, I have a team and we collaborate on each client. And so I really do believe in that, just multiple eyes from multiple different areas of training. And so I
Hmm.
like it when they have a PCP. Sometimes they don't. And I understand that because for a long time I didn't during this process because honestly, I'm just being honest with y'all. I did not trust Western medicine doctors at that point. Like I really
Oh
struggled.
no, I'm right there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It depends on the situation,
it does.
you
Yes.
know. Yeah,
Very personal.
but
Well,
there are
and
some things.
yes, yes. But it's and
Yeah.
I, like that goes back to like it's personalized to every person and it's
Hmm.
different for every person. So yeah, we don't and I will say too, like I don't diagnose or treat anything. I truly just help people get their bodies back into balance so that they can function properly. That's the goal. Um, so yeah, and it all starts whenever people like so to answer your question, when people come to me, the first thing that we do is a comprehensive assessment to come up with the personalized plan for each person because I just believe each of us are unique individuals. All of our, you know, we have lab ranges and we have, you know, data to go off of. But something I do with my clients is I have them, you know, fill out all the, and I always tell people I like to know more than just, you know, have you had any past surgeries? Do you have a history of heart disease in your family? Do you, you know, what medications
Yeah.
are you on? Like, I want to know more than that. I want to know like your lifestyle. I want to know, you know, have you ever been through any trauma in your life? And sometimes people don't even realize they've been through trauma until we start talking and they're like, oh wow, like yeah, that happened when I was a kid and it was like very traumatic and our whole family was uprooted because of this thing, right? Whatever it is. And I'm like, well, yeah, that can take a toll on your body, right? And when we're talking about chronic health issues, it can start,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, I know. And people who have been through trauma, research shows are more at risk for chronic health conditions down the road.
Yes, yes. So we start with a comprehensive assessment and then we just go from there. And I do use functional lab ranges for everything I do. But we don't just utilize labs. The labs are actually they're a wonderful starting piece, you know, but to really personalize things to people and get an understanding, even you can get an understanding of why someone's labs look the way they do if you just sit and talk to them for 30 minutes to an hour, you know. So that's where we start. And then we go from there with each person.
So, Lacey, what are you looking for in these labs? Anything just pop out that you know automatically is really something that you need to be concerned about, and do you dive in from there?
Okay, so that's a wonderful question. Actually, I was just talking to a colleague
Yeah, it is.
today.
Yeah.
We the very first thing that I always look for is infection, and I want to know because specifically, okay, I'm going to try really hard to explain this. It's very hard. I usually have visuals that I explain these things with, but you know, Western and functional lab ranges look different. And Western medicine doctors, and I'm not faulting the doctors at all. I believe wholeheartedly it's a system issue and their training,
Right.
not them. I believe wholeheartedly that most doctors want to help people. And so, but oftentimes we hear exactly what I heard several times, which is everything looks normal. And yet, you know, fill in the blank for whatever it is. For me, I was still having a 6 month period and had gained 40 pounds. Like that's not normal. And but according to my labs, my PCP was the one that was like, oh, you're close to type 2. But then when I got that under control, I still was having the menstrual issues, and then an OBGYN told me everything was normal. So
Wow.
so I use functional ranges, and they look different. And when we first look at them, that's what we want to see is there any infection, or is there like a toxic level of anything here? Like, I always tell people, environmental toxins, we talk about it all the time. It's like a buzzword right now. It's pretty popular in the functional world, but it's popular for a reason, because we all are exposed to things that were not even around 100 years ago.
Mhm.
We really have got to get in there and look first at, is there anything that we can eliminate without even using like supplements or anything like that, but is there anything that we can do lifestyle medicine first? That's what we want to look at first. And so yeah, and another, just a really quick like note for anyone listening, with functional and Western lab ranges, the reason I said that a while ago is because functional lab ranges are for optimal function of your body, and Western ranges are typically ranges from each, like, okay, let's say you go to LabCorp, and then you go to Quest, and then you go to, like, here, our main, like, a big clinic here, they have their own lab as well. If you were to go to all three of those places, and let's say you get a CBC panel run, all of them will most likely have similar but different ranges. And that's because each of those ranges are based off of their clientele and what they have in their system. And so whenever I'm looking at that, my thought process is, I don't want to be in the average of a sick population, because the majority
Right.
of doctor's visits are for sick people.
Right.
So I want to look at the optimal functioning ranges for my body. I want to get my ranges within optimal function. And so that's kind of where we start. We start with, any toxins going on, and that can happen with labs. And that can also happen with their comprehensive assessment as well. We can see, we look at factors like, what kind of shampoo do you use? What kind of dishwashing detergent are you using? What are you washing your clothes in that you put on your body every single day? So it really is like, it's like a very wide, very comprehensive
That's
assessment. That's
fantastic
where we
you do
start.
that. Yeah, that's
So,
fantastic. So, what do you do then when somebody comes to you and they have an issue? Do you
mhm.
then put them on do you have a certain, depending on the condition, of course, meal plan, supplements, etc., workout?
Okay, so I have a dietitian that created some different, like, autoimmune protocol, low FODMAP, um, different protocol, like, meal plans and things. I don't ever put anyone on a meal plan. That is outside of my scope, but I do offer that to them as an option. And then I kind of just coach them through making the right nutrition choices for themselves. Because again, everyone is different. And I have found too, and it might be different in what y'all do, but I have found that whenever you give someone a meal plan, the majority of the time they don't actually follow it. They would rather have the guidance on how to make the better choices for their body than they would just a meal plan, because a meal plan only serves them for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is. And anybody can do a meal plan, but then did they really learn anything at the end of it? So
Right.
I would rather kind of coach them through what is right for their bodies, if that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
and then, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to ask, and then so do you prescribe a certain exercise routine, or, I'm just thinking about optimal health, I guess
Mhm,
is what I'm trying to say is
mhm.
I know you're trying to get them there. And so everything, I guess all the tenets that encompass optimal health, is that how you do that? Is that your guide?
Yeah, so we do the nutrition coaching, and then we give them, the optional meal plans that have been formed by the dietitian. And then um I I put them through my protocol, which is a supplement protocol, and then I tailor it to them based on their needs,
Mhm.
but everyone goes through like the basic 4 steps, I would say, of like the way I feel like our bodies get back into balance. Um,
Right.
and then I also have she's, I don't even know all her certifications. She's a personal trainer, she's a prenatal postpartum specialist. But they do a call with her, and we also she has an app. She actually just launched a new app today, and there are, I think, 9 trainers and coaches inside the app. And so they get access to that. And we created a workout plan specifically for women with chronic health issues, with like gentle exercises, starting them from 0 to the top of, wherever they want to go from there. But typically with chronic health issues, we have to create like very gentle workout programs to get them started. And actually now inside the app, and everyone who goes through my program gets 90-day access to the app. And now we actually have a trainer that specializes in creating workout plans for chronic health issues. And so yeah, it's a very multifaceted program. But we also do some habit training as well in there on just how to create habits. I believe wholeheartedly in the stacking system. Like, don't try to, we don't try and eat the whole elephant right all at once. The whole elephant analogy, you do it one bite at a time. And so that's what we want to do. We want to take it slowly, and each person starts in a different place, and that's totally okay because we all have to start in our own place. But yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, and
Okay.
just to follow up just a little bit, how, uh, you know, how do you, I know inflammation is very important
Mhm.
in disease and chronic illness, etc. What do you do about that? Is there something special that how do you address the inflammatory part?
So that would probably, that I would say is the nutrition, and the supplement protocol that I have
Hmm.
addresses inflammation very heavily. Because we all have so much of it, and specifically with chronic health issues we see that a lot. And so that typically takes care of it. But we also want to look at nutrition, like what are you putting in your body, how is it acting in your body, what is it doing for or against your body. And then we want to make wise choices with that. And we want to, I always say, like, we need to count the costs, because nobody's going to do everything perfectly, and nobody wants to, right? Like, everybody wants to eat cake on their birthday, right? I mean, I don't really like cake, I'd
Hmm.
rather have ice cream, but like, I'm gonna eat ice cream on my birthday, right? But you have to count the cost, or at least that's the way I like to think of it. Especially, I think it's a little different when we're maybe talking about chronic health issues versus like people who just want to lose weight. And by the way, I will say this, every single woman that I have ever coached, they want to get healthy, and they want to get their body back into balance and back into order. But they always also want to lose weight because, again, like inflammation, all of that, um, that can keep us from being able to lose the weight, right? We can have, blood sugar. I mean, there's a whole
Right.
list of things that can
Exactly.
be going on, like blood sugar issues and things like that. But that's always one of their goals. But the main goal being we want to get healthy first, and then we can address the weight stuff. And that again is that's a collaborative team effort with multiple people on our team. Um, I forgot where
It's
I was
good.
going with
Thank you. Oh.
that. But yeah, but with the inflammation, we definitely address that through the supplement protocol mostly.
Okay.
And also, I'm a firm believer in circadian medicine, in getting our bodies back into a rhythm. I think we were created to function in a rhythm, and our bodies, I always use the band-aid analogy. Our bodies were created to heal themselves. If you cut your finger, you have platelets that go up to the surface and then coagulate and create a scab, right? It's the same thing internally too. We want our body functioning properly, and it's made to do that, but we have to give it the right tools. Just like, a scab needs oxygen to formulate that scab. The same thing is true with our like internally, what's going on inside of our bodies. And so we want to get it back into proper function.
So, Lacey, one of the things that I'm really always curious about hearing people with, such distinct protocols, how
Mhm.
quickly do you see results? Because I know everybody wants something quick, but reality is that it's not necessarily that quick. I'm just curious, What kind of results have you been seeing?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. It literally depends on the person. I have people that in 90 days they feel better. I have some that in 30 days they feel better. Um, and then I have some that, it's 6 months, a year long process, depending on what's been going on in their body. Like I have one girl who she was on 16 medications when we started. And so that has been a whole process in and of itself. But I do always tell people, it's not a quick fix, but when we look at your life, um, most of my clients are like what we would call in like midlife area, right? And so it's taken you up to this point to get to where you're at. And if you're just giving me 4 little months of that time when we're looking at your entire life, is it worth that 4 months? Is this a pill that a doctor is prescribing you that's going to make you feel better or lose weight really quickly or whatever that is? No. But are we going to get your body back into proper function so that you can really truly live in optimal balanced health and have, longevity in that for your life? Yeah, that's the goal. So no, it's not a quick fix, but 4 months I feel like is a really good starting place for most people to start feeling better and then kind of take the reins themselves. We walk you through the first 4 months, and then we also have a maintenance protocol that it's optional. You don't have to do it, obviously. Um, but it just keeps you kind of it's I don't know how to explain it, but it just keeps you, motivated and gives you some extra accountability as you take the reins yourself, without that one-to-one or group coaching aspect of things. So that's
Interesting.
a long answer to say, it depends on the person, but anywhere from 30 days to, it could be a year.
No, it's fascinating. I know one of my answers to that question personally, when I coach people, I always say, well, how long did it take for you to get to this
Yep.
position?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
Yep.
it's a little bit close, less than that, but, got to be realistic when it comes to those
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
So go
Oh,
ahead,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, I was just going to say, for me personally, as I was going through school and learning all of these things, I started with nutrition, and it took me 2 years to get to where I was having normal cycles and I actually felt like myself again. I had anxiety really bad during that time. And to get to where anxiety did not just like wreck me from the moment I woke up till the moment I went to bed. So, you know, that seems like a long time to people. So when they look at, 2 years compared to 4 months, they're like, oh, I can do 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, if I knew what you are knowing because of, or what you're getting because of what I have done in school and in my own life, then I would have taken the 4 month step in a heartbeat, right?
Right. Yeah. No
So let
question.
me ask you, how do you institute a prevention program if you do at all? And if you don't, do you have any tips for our listeners on how they can prevent chronic disease and inflammation in their lives?
That is a great question. We do not currently, that is part of our big picture goals. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but typically people already have chronic health issues when they come to us. Um, but I would say the biggest, easiest, maybe not easiest, but the simplest. I actually have a mentor that always says getting healthy is really simple, but staying unhealthy is easier.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and it's
good.
so
Yeah.
true because it doesn't actually, there's a lot of things that we can do that don't actually cost us anything but our time and maybe a little bit effort. But I would say one of the best things that we could probably do is get our circadian rhythms in order, get up and get sunlight in the morning and move our bodies first thing. Um, that and y'all already know all of this, but if anybody listening doesn't already know this, when you get up and get sunlight in the morning, automatically your brain starts to produce and move. I guess move is a better word. I don't know. I'm trying to like think of how I could like visually explain this in words, but your brain starts a chemical response that
Mm-hmm.
help you get your sleep back in order, but also give you energy throughout the day. It's a whole chain reaction of chemical responses that happen in your body just by getting up and getting sunlight in the morning. And then I think the other thing I would say is the majority of us get up and have coffee in the mornings. And so if you can just hold off for like an hour to 2 hours after you wake up, have water first. Something I like to do is put water in my coffee cup so that I have to drink at least a cup of water before I have coffee. um, but if we can just hold off on that, just specifically for our cortisol levels, if we can do that and get sunlight in the morning, that can massively change the game for a lot of people who aren't quite in that, like, I have a chronic health issue, but are like, I know I'm unhealthy and I need to do something about it, but I don't really know what to do about it. I would say that's a wonderful place to start. And, maybe to add to that, going to bed at a decent hour and not looking at a blue light for like,
Right.
while you fall asleep or whatever it is. But I think those are like my top three. Like, those are the easiest, quickest. I say easiest. Those are the simplest, sorry, quickest things that you can do preventative wise. If you're doing that, I feel like that's a great start. And I feel like too, it has nothing to do with nutrition or, you know, not even working out really, because I feel like those two things people kind of balk at, like, yeah, I've tried that, like, okay, well, let's try something different. How about you just get your body back into a good rhythm and help some of the chemical processes in your body without doing anything with nutrition, no supplements, no nothing, just getting up and moving your body and waiting a while to drink your coffee.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess
Mhm.
to wrap, I just have one quick question because I know that I've noticed a lot of people who've really thrived with the accountability portion of all
Mhm.
these particular programs. If you could just speak on that for a second, and then yeah, I would definitely give you an opportunity to kind of tell everybody where to reach out to you and look into all the good stuff that you're doing out there, including your website and social media handle.
Okay. So for accountability, that's probably the hardest piece I have found in putting together my protocol. Just how do we do that? We we really just do check it. We do weekly check-ins, and then we check in with them on, like, if like in a Zoom call
Hmm.
every other week. And I feel like that is enough time to give each person some space, because we don't always get it right every single week, right? Like, I always tell my clients, you have to wake up and, like, his mercies are new every morning, right? Like, every day we get to start over. We have grace all over again every single morning. And so sometimes I was doing it weekly, and I have found that doing it weekly, sometimes your clients come to you very defeated because they don't, or they no show your appointments because they don't want to tell you that they haven't done it. But 2 weeks seems to be kind of the sweet spot of, like, well, I had a rough week, but I'm doing better this week, because I think allowing them some space to have their own accountability with themselves, but then also know they're going to have to meet with you and tell you how they did the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, 2 weeks has been a good fit for my clients anyway. Um, but yeah, I think I don't know, that's a hard question to answer. And again, it's hard because we're talking about personalizing things to people. We all are a little different in that. Um, I think also encouraging them to find someone in their life that's not us is a good way to do it. And the reason that we say that is because after the 4 months, if they do decide not to move into the maintenance protocol, then they need someone, because again, like, we could put somebody through this protocol, right? And it would help and they would feel better. I have no doubt on that. Like, I'm very confident in that. However, if they don't learn any of the lifestyle stuff in the middle of it, if they don't have accountability outside of us, and they haven't learned to really put some of these lifestyle things in place, then in 6 months to a year, I feel like they're just going to be right back saying, hey, okay, I need help again, versus setting them up for success in the long run past our program. Like, the goal is not just the program, the goal is to set them up for a longevity here in their health. And so yeah, we also highly encourage them to get an accountability partner and just check in on their own. Everybody's different again, so we want them to check in when they are ready and comfortable, and on their, like, timetable, I guess you could say, for what works for them.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So, okay, if you could give us your website, social media handle, and how to keep in touch with all the good stuff you're doing.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so my website is Functional Health for Women. tpbf.com. And my like Instagram is just at Lacy Lain, and it's LacyLain. I always have to spell that because neither of my names are spelled normally. Um, but yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. I also have a free Facebook group that you can jump in. We do calls in there sometimes. Yeah, we give away like, different things inside the Facebook group as well. And then yeah, I think that's pretty much. You can also book a discovery call if you're like ready to jump in and say, okay, I want to know what's really going on. And that's just Calendly /Lacy Lain.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Right.
It's pretty
Well,
basic.
thank you so much, Lacy. It's
Yeah,
been
thank you.
wonderful having you, really.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah, have a great rest of the night.
All right, y'all
Okay.
too.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of This Podcast Burns Fat. We're so excited to have you as a listener, and we're hoping that you really enjoyed the content as well. And if you did, please run over to iTunes and provide a rating and or review. It will go a long way in helping us continuously build our listenership up so that we can provide you with excellent content regarding fat loss, weight management, and just an overall healthy lifestyle. Thanks so much. Have a great night.